Welcome to our class in economics, where we're going to learn about the concepts of a market, the features of the market, and classifications. So, uh, in an economy, basically, a market is simply a place or arrangement where buyers and sellers come together to exchange goods and services. So, economically, the market does not need to be physical. It's simply a place where buyers and sellers will interact freely. The purpose basically is to ensure that there is exchange to satisfy a customer or consumer needs. So, key definitions here are as follows. A market means it's a general field within which the forces of price and demand interact. A market is not a particular place. It is actually an interaction. So the key concepts we must understand is that commodity here we could have specific goods and services, the seller and the buyer. Their presence is essential. So one will create a market, the other one will buy from the market. Okay, so that is it about the market. Now, what are some of the features of the market? Features of the market are that number one, we'll look at the area. It is not restricted to geography. It is any region where buyers and sellers will interact. Like right now, it is a market. We're meeting virtually. The buyers and sellers must exist. Okay, there should be buyers and sellers. What other feature of the market are we looking at in terms of competition? Exits among sellers and buyers must be there. It should ensure what? Fair play and choice. So it can be physical, it can be via communication online, like via Zoom, email, and the price will reflect competition. So when there's high competition, it means there are similar prices. When there's low competition, it means the prices are varied. Okay, so we go to these are the characteristics of the market. Let's go to classifications of these markets. So classified according to the following parameters: the area, the time, the basis of the seller, and the basis of the buyer. So in terms of the basis of the area, we're looking at the type of area. If it's a local market, demand is limited to the small area. For instance, Soweto market. Provincial market, the demand in the region. We may look at the provincial market. National market, it spreads along the country. And international market, buyers and sellers come from different countries. So it is also based on time. It can be a very short period of time, which is daily, like vegetables and milk, we can buy that daily. Short period of time, within 6 months, supply can adjust here slightly. These are seasonal crops. And long-term period can take several years where suppliers will adjust to demand and the normal price will prevail, like industrial goods. Demand can also be on basis of sellers, the type of market. We have perfect competition where we have many buyers and sellers, and here the goods are homogeneous. We know these to be price takers. And we also have a monopoly where we only have one seller who sells a unique good, and there are no close substitutes. And also in perfect competition where there are few or many sellers, we are dealing with monopolistic market. So now these imperfect markets are what we're going to dominate on. So there are four types of market areas that we're going to look at. The perfect competition, we're going to look at the um, monopoly and monopolist. So can somebody tell me, let's talk about perfect competition. What are some of the features of perfect competition? Any four features of perfect competition? So when dealing with perfect competition here, we're dealing with a very large number of buyers and sellers. So what should come into your mind is a common market, like just a corner market. In that market, there are many buyers and sellers. They sell homogeneous products. Homogeneous means what? Similar or same products. Okay? And there's no single firm that influences the market price. The invisible hand is what determines the price and quantity demanded. So in a perfect competition here, they have perfect knowledge of the market and they deal with homogeneous goods. I'll look at how the graphs look like. Okay, features of perfect competition. What are some of the features of perfect competition? Many buyers and sellers. What other feature is there? Perfect competition, you need to know the characteristics of each of these four markets. Okay? Features of perfect competition. There are many buyers and sellers. You are able to see it there. I want you to participate.
They have perfect knowledge of the market.
They have perfect knowledge of the market, so everyone knows how much the price of tomato is currently. Okay? They have perfect knowledge. They have complete information about the prices. The goods are identical. They are perfect substitutes for each other. There's free entry and free exit. Okay? Without significant barriers. They are price takers. So the curve for the perfect competition looks something like this. Okay? The price is simply the same as the average revenue. It is simply the same as the marginal revenue. Okay? In this market, we have no transport for selling goods and services, so cost of buying and selling goods do not affect pricing. So the price is uniform throughout the market. There's perfect mobility of resources means the factors of production like labor, land can move freely, okay, between firms to maximize efficiency. Then there's profit maximization, which happens when the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. There is no government interventions. The prices and output is determined purely by the forces of demand and supply. The forces of demand and supply simply stipulate that what? At equilibrium, what happens? Demand is equal to what? Supply. So the forces fall in place. Okay? That's what happens in this market. So the demand and supply, where they meet here, this is where price actually comes from. That's why we have a horizontal curve. So in the long run and short run, in the long run, firms will earn what are called normal profits due to free entry and exit. So to eliminate what is called economic profits. So in the short run, what actually happens is that people, okay, um, are we together?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions so far? So these are the characteristics that you should know. Okay, I'll ask questions after we are done. I need you to participate. Literally, your information is very jumbled, so you need to um make it unjumbled. All right. So we now go to another market structure, which is monopoly. What comes to mind when you talk about monopoly? Anyone?
This is when there's one organization in the entire country, so they're the only one without any competition.
All right.
An example would be an electric company.
Like Zesco, correct? Okay. There's one major seller. There are no close substitutes in that market. So here the firms and the industry are synonymous, meaning the single firm substitutes the entire industry. They are price makers, okay? They make abnormal profits in the short run. They are heavy barriers to entry. So here our marginal revenue comes just below the average revenue. And our average total cost looks like this. And in the middle, like a Nike, that's where the marginal cost comes here. Okay? So where the marginal cost and marginal revenue meet, this is where the profit is maximized. So they make abnormal profits in the short run. Curve looks something like that. So this is our abnormal profits. Okay. This is our abnormal profit. So control over supply. So the monopolist here can control the output supplied to the market. Okay. Can control, okay, to the market. Then also we have the possibility of price discrimination. So monopolists will charge different prices to different consumers based on their willingness to pay. Okay. They'll charge different prices based on their willingness to pay. Then we have inefficient resource allocation. So monopoly can lead to higher prices and low output compared to perfect competition. So this is what happens in that market structure. That is for a monopoly. What other market structure do we know of?
Oligopoly.
Is oligopoly correct? What kind of market is oligopoly?
This is where I think there are two competitors in a market.
Uh-huh. There are two competitors in a market. What other features are there in oligopoly? We have few firms that will merge, okay, to form an oligopolistic market. So these firms are interdependent. They make decisions interdependently. So the demand curve has a kink here. So this kink is such a way that if one of the members says to charge lower, they'll leave him. If charges are higher, they'll leave him. If charges lower, they'll go below him. Within this, what we call the marginal revenue gap. So this is a market structure that has both similar and differentiated products. They are homogeneous, like steel, and differentiated, like smartphones, iPhones. So there are barriers to entry, heavy barriers to entry due to economies of scale. What do we mean by economies of scale? It is simply the situation where the institution is able to produce at low cost because of what? Efficient production processes, high technology. Okay. So they have high barriers to entry because of patents. So we've had difficulties in having uh, other mobile subscribers coming to the market because of these heavy barriers to entry patents. All right. So Liquid is still on data or capital requirements. There's price rigidity. Firms will tend to avoid changing prices frequently to prevent what? Price wars, often resulting in sticky prices. So the non-price competition, firms here compete using advertising, brand quality, and branding. So this is what happens in our market. There's possibility of a collusion. Firms will collude to fix prices, so limit output, and they'll divide the markets to increase profits. So they'll decide, okay, we are the three mobile subscribers. You concentrate in the rural settings. We'll leave it to you. We'll go in the urban, let's share. There's uncertainty. Firms here will face uncertainty because they can mass manipulate the competitors' reactions to their own actions. So there's price maximization, which occurs when the marginal revenue is good marginal cost. So the curve is kinked. So the demand curve is kinked. So prices may be rigid because firms may react differently to prices. So this is what really happens. Okay. Any question on the market structure? Which one is our other market structure that we know?
Monopolistic.
Good, monopolistic. What happens in monopolistic market structure?
I think this is one way they sell similar products, but under their own brands. Maybe like say Trade Kings and I don't know another company like um, maybe the Kellogg's company. Maybe they'll sell the same type of like they'll both sell Rice Krispies, but it's just under their brand.
Correct, yeah. So we have a large number of firms in the market. Each one has a small share. So there's high product differentiation. We call these products to be heterogeneous. So firms are similar but slightly different in quality, design, or branding. Today, most people think toothpaste is Colgate because of how Colgate has done. So we have Aquafresh. It's all toothpaste, but different in quality and design. There's free entry and exit. Firms can enter the market easily and exit without major obstacles. Some control over price because each firm has its own design and product. So they have some price control. And independent decision-making firms make decisions independently, though they are aware of competitors' action. There's non-price competition in perfect competition because competition often occurs through advertising, packaging, and quality. Okay, they make normal profits in the long run. So in the long run, firms earn only normal profits because entry eliminates economic profit. Then selling costs. So firms spend on marketing, advertising to attract customers. The curve is downward sloping. It faces a downward demand, almost like the monopoly. Our marginal revenue is here. Our average revenue is there. Then we have our average total cost and marginal cost. So this is how a monopoly looks like. Okay. Any questions so far on the three market structures? Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, let me ask just a few questions before I proceed. What is the main characteristic of competitive perfect competition regarding the buyers and sellers? What's the main characteristics in terms of perfect competition in terms of buyers and sellers? There are many, all right? In a perfectly competitive market, people can move in. There's no restriction. So what happens in the perfect competitive market? You hear people selling perfumes. All the ladies want to sell perfumes. So in the short run, they'll enjoy the profits because there'll be a few of them. As the market gets flooded, the profit will be depleted until you reach what is called the shutdown. We are producing any more will lead into more total costs. So you have to stop. In a monopoly, why is a firm considered to be a price maker? In a monopoly, why is um, the firm considered to be a price maker?
Because they're the only ones that are providing the service.
Okay, because they are the only ones in the market. Yes, they have the price setters because they have the powers. Okay, they're the only ones to set the prices in there. That's correct. Okay, our next question is what is meant by homogeneous product in a perfect competition? What is homogeneous? Homogeneous is what? Same.
Similar?
Yes, it means similar. All right. So all firms will sell identical products, so consumers see no difference. So if they say, what's different with this tomato and that tomato? Minus fertilizer, they will not see any of that. They will just, that's why they're elastic, sensitive. How does product differentiation distinguish monopolistic from perfect competition? So firms in monopolistic will sell products slightly different in design, quality, and branding, unlike in perfect competition, where the goods are identical. Okay, why do firms in oligopoly, why do we develop them as interdependent in their pricing decisions? Because firms' profits depend on the competitors' actions. They must consider their reactions to the pricing, the output of marketing decisions. We know that IBM or these laptops, they don't all make this product together. They have to get components from this company. So if you're going to make your product expensive, it will mean our component will not be bought. All right. So to make this whole computer product difficult, so they have to consult. We want to increase the memory chips. Okay, they're interdependent. All right. What is the effect of free entry and exit in the long run for monopolistic?
I just wanted to take you back to question number 4 on the differentiation between monopolistic competition and perfect competition.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite get it.
Question number 4. How does the differentiation or distinguishing between perfect competition from monopolistic? So firms in a monopolistic firm will sell slightly different because, like you mentioned, Colgate or restaurants, they'll differentiate their pricing based on the quality and branding features, whereas perfect competition commodities are identical. There's no much differentiation. All right. Are we together? Is that
Yes, yeah,
clear?
it makes sense. Mhm.
All right. Then the next question was, why are firms in oligopoly interdependent? I've talked about their actions. Then what is the effect of free entry and exit in the long run for monopolistic? So free entry and exit will eliminate the economic profits in the long run. So people will end up earning normal profits. Like I said, in the short run, you enjoy the profits because you'll be the only one. Like currently, Sun King is enjoying because it's a short run, but if load shedding goes in the long run, there will be other brands that will come in, so the profit will be depleted. So there'll be cheaper, innovative um, competitors. You get the idea? Give 2 examples of barriers that might prevent new firms from entering a monopoly of legal restrictions like patent rights. So this is one thing that has uh, eluded Vodafone or Liquid from going voice call because of these patent restrictions government made through ZICTA. All right, the control of essential resources or technology. Is that clear? Are we following? All right. So we are simply on the basics. So I'm trying to touch the important parts of these notes so that I don't go slide by slide. So already you've seen what we've covered. We've covered all these slides here, all these slides here. Some parts are not very um, important. Okay, so what is price discrimination? What is price discrimination? You've heard of the term price discrimination. What is price discrimination?
Okay, from what I'm reading here,
Mm.
uh, so you can sell products at different prices to different customers.
Yes, the same product priced differently to different customers. An example that does that is a company like Zesco. You know, the tariffs are different in the rural areas as well as in the uh, uh, urban areas. Okay.
I was gonna say how like taxi drivers charge you differently based on your skin color.
Yes. All right. They charge differently. Price discrimination, they know, of course, that this one looks yeah. So these are strategies that are legal, except that one may be unfairly done, but legally, there are places where water is cheaper than other areas because of the industriousness of the places. Okay. So electricity in the rural areas is cheaper because of government interventions. So, and what is meant by economies of scale? This is where firms achieve large economies of scale in production because of increasing technology. So, economies of scale simply is producing things at low price because of increased technology. All right, so Unit 10 looks at the features of perfect competition as a price taker and how to come up with equilibrium. I've already taught this, all right? So in a perfect competitive market, we've talked about the features, that there are many buyers and sellers, the goods are homogeneous, free entry and exit, free mobility and no transport costs and restrictions. And the features, I've explained them in their context in that quickest period of time. And traces now on the calculations. In a perfect competitive market, how do we calculate our equilibrium. So I showed you that the perfect competition are price takers. So where demand and supply meet, that is where the price is actually being made. The price is equal to the average revenue, which is equal to the marginal revenue. So at equilibrium, demand is equal to supply. So how do we maximize our revenues for a perfectly competitive market? Okay, so here is what we do. So you need to understand that when we are maximizing revenue, our total revenue is equal to our price times quantity. Our average revenue is simply equal to the total revenue over quantity. Our marginal revenue is simply when we differentiate the total revenue with respect to quantity. Okay, and we also have maximum revenue is when marginal revenue is equal to 0. This is how we maximize revenue. Okay, total revenue is maximized at that point. So if you have these features, we have quantity, for instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have our price. We have 10, 11, 15, and 20. How do we find the total revenue? We multiply price times quantity. So here we have 10, here we have 22, here we have 45, and here we have what? 8. Then the marginal revenue is simply the change in total revenue over change in quantity. Change in total revenue over change in what? Quantity. So it's simply the difference in there. So marginal revenue here, the quantities it's 1 throughout, so the difference will not be the same. So dash here. 22 minus 10. What is our change in total revenue? What is our change?
You said 22 minus 10?
Yeah, 2 minus 10 is 12.
12.
So it's just addition from here to here. Marginal means addition. So what additional revenue do we have? From here to here, it's 12. But from here to here, what is additional revenue? From here to here, it's what? 23. What is the additional revenue from here to here? Is what? 35. What is our additional revenue from 80 to 75? Is -5. What is our additional revenue from here to here? 45 to 48 is minus what?
Minus 27.
Okay. Can put uh times 12. What is 6 times 12? 72. Okay. So this here is -3. So this is how we find the marginal revenue. Okay. So if we're given our marginal cost as 35, how many units will maximize our profit? So profit is maximized when marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So at which point are the same marginal revenue and marginal cost? So to maximize revenue, we'll need to produce 4 units. 4 units will maximize your profit. Okay. So Optimization is simply finding the best value of the quantities that will maximize either your revenue, your profit, or minimizing your costs. So if you have a function like price is equal to 170 minus 5Q. Now using equations, how do we find the total revenue? Total revenue is equal to what? Price times quantity. What is price? Price in this case is 170 minus what? 5Q. What is our quantity? Our quantity, we impute the letter Q here. So what we get as our total revenue? Our total revenue is equal to 170 by Q, 170Q. 5Q times Q is 5Q squared. So that is how we find our total revenue. And how do we find our marginal revenue? Our marginal revenue is when we differentiate our total revenue over our quantity, the difference in the quantity. By now, you should be able to know how to differentiate. 170Q, when you differentiate it, is 170. 5Q squared, when you differentiate it, is 10Q. So a quick recap on differentiation. Baby class, differentiation uses what? The power rule. The power rule which simply assumes that we multiply the numbers and we subtract the power. So dy dx here in this case is equal to n times a is na. Then you subtract 1 from the power, n minus 1. So if you're going to differentiate, y is equal to 10x to the power 4. Multiply the numbers there. 4 times 10 is 40. Then subtract 1 from the power. 4 minus 1 is 3. So if our number is constant, then you know that it's a 0. When you're differentiating a constant, it is 0. So let's quickly do differentiation for these ones. 6x to the power 3. What do we get? 2x to the power 2. What do we get? 2x. What do we get? And the constant 2. So you multiply 3 times 6 is 18. You subtract 1 from the power 3, we get a 2. So this is the derivative of 6x3. About 2x2, you multiply 2 times 2, we get a 4. Subtract 1 from the 2, we get 1. 1 is always invisible. So 2x is already an invisible 1 there. 1 times 2 is 2. X, we have a 1 there. 1 minus 1 is 0. Any number to the power 0 is 1. So 2x is 2. 10x is 10. Whatever has no power, it's that number. Just remove the letter there. Then if it has no letter, it's a constant. So any constant, when you differentiate it, it becomes 0. Okay. Let's try it again. 100 L to the power 5. 100 L to the power half. 20 x4 x to the power 4. Then x, then 10, then 170 q, then 5 q squared. Let's participate, all of us. This is the quickest way I'll teach you how to differentiate. I'll start 10L5, it'll be 500L4. All right, who wants to try the next one? 100L half, half times 100 is 50. Half minus 1 is minus half. Okay, 20x4, Karen, 20x4,
That would be 80x3.
correct, 80x3. Okay, then x4, David, x4, there's an invisible one here. x4 would be what? 4x3. About just x, meaning there's a 1 there. It's just 1. 2x, 2. 10x is 10. So 1 is that side. Then what happens to the 10? It's a constant, 0. 170q is 170. what's the power 1? 5Q2, it is 10Q. Is that clear? So now explains how we're differentiating this. First, P times Q. So the Q never given, you impute it. So 170 times Q, 170Q. 5Q times Q, 5Q squared. Then you differentiate this. 170Q is 170. 5Q2 is 10Q. Then to maximize revenue, you equate the margin revenue to 0. So you want to find the price and quantity that maximizes what? Revenue. So you equate it to 0. So when this one comes this side, it will be a positive 10Q. 10Q is equal to 170. So you divide both sides by 10. So Q therefore will be 17. So when you do that, substitute this 17 into the original price function to also find P. So P, when you put it in here, it is to 170 minus what? 5Q. Where there's Q, put 17. Final answer for P will be what? P will be 85. So this is how we maximize revenue. At P is equal to 17 and Q is equal to 85. You have no option but to understand everything that I have explained here. Are you together? So it is
Okay.
okay. Are we together? So this is where we're going to end. I'll give you questions just on what has been talked about. I've talked about a lot of things, how to do the tables, the characteristics, and how to differentiate. And also, I'll get a question from one exam paper so that you understand those principles. Is that clear?
Yeah, but sorry,
Yes.
Collins, I joined a bit late. Is it possible I can get a recording of this particular
sure.
session?
I'll be sending the videos in the paid up group. All those in the paid up, you'll be accessing the videos from there.
All right, okay, thanks.
Thank you so much for your time.